Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here. And the Android P beta brings some gestures to the system navigation similar to that on the iPhone X. Now I want to go ahead and compare and contrast the two system gestures and see which one actually does it better. Now I'm curious to hear from you guys. I will have a poll going, but also go ahead and drop a comment and let me know which gesture system you actually prefer. Also, before you guys go ahead and say, hey look, Android copied the iPhone, that might not necessarily be the case when you look back at the old Palm OS on the Palm Pre. They had a card-style view. They also had a full gesture system. So if anything, both Google and Apple copied Palm from a while ago. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. Also, if you are interested, I do consistently live stream on Twitch, so feel free to follow me there. I will go ahead and link to it down below. Let's get started and compare the two gesture systems. Here are both devices. Worth mentioning, Android P is in beta, so things might change in the future. I'll keep you updated if they do. Be sure you subscribe so you're notified of some future videos. Now to start, let's begin with the lock screen. So on Android, if you swipe up from just about anywhere, it will go ahead and unlock the phone. On iPhones, if you swipe up from the middle, it will actually bring up your notifications. You have to actually swipe up from the bottom to unlock the device, so a little different gesture there. A close look at the bottom, you'll see on Android there is an icon, which is your gesture button essentially, and then down at the bottom on your home screen you don't see anything unless you open an actual app. When you open that app, you'll see a little bar pop up towards the bottom letting you know where that action can occur. When I'm in an app on both, to get home, it's a little bit different. You swipe up on the iPhone, whereas you just tap the button down at the bottom and that will take you home. Now, there's a little different gesture with the swipe up on Android. If you swipe up, it takes you to this screen, which is your recent apps, a Google search bar, and suggested apps right down there. And from this screen, if you swipe up one more time, it will open up that app drawer for you. So a little bit different there. Obviously, iPhones do not have app drawers. So of course, on the iPhone, to get to your recent apps, you swipe up and pause, and it brings up a card-style list view. Similar to that on Android now, there is that vertical card list on both. You'll see here, if I have one app open, I can technically tap on a left or right app. And then on the iPhone, I can have potentially 4, probably just about 3 apps as well to tap on in my recent apps. An action that's very similar between the two is a quick swipe to the right. So if I quickly swipe on the bottom from the right, it will bring up my most recently opened app. And same with Android. You'll see I did a quick swipe to the right. Now if I do that same action again on Android, it will swap back and forth between my two most recently opened apps. So multitasking between two apps is quick on Android, whereas on the iPhone, you swipe over to the right, it gets to this. If you swipe over to the right again, it gets you to your next most recent app. So it has a left gesture, whereas on Android, it doesn't quite have that left gesture. You can't really swipe to the left for anything. As my personal preference, I prefer the iPhone X's method, being able to scroll left and right through apps, because you can just say, hey, if I want to go back and forth between two apps, I just go left and right, whereas with this, you can go back and forth between two apps, but if you want to actually keep going, you have to kind of pause and scroll, and you'll see here, there we go, I loaded up a next app. This gesture is when you hold down on this button, you can quickly scroll between them, but that's the only way to do it, a little bit more of a pause on that swipe over, you pause, and then you can scroll through multiple apps instead of just quickly swapping between two. The next gesture difference is that of a back button. You see, it will show up on Android only when you can actually go back on the page. You'll notice it is not there right now, but I open an app, and if I press back, it actually will close out of that app. Whereas on the iPhone, there's no back button. If you want to go home, you just swipe up from any page. Now, if you go into, let's say, another page, and a lot of app developers have implemented this, and you want to go back, you can tap that button in the upper left-hand corner, or you can just kind of do a swipe over gesture from the left side there. So as long as it's consistent and the app does have it, I really do like this swipe to go back gesture that the iPhone has, and I also do like having a back button because it is consistent. Mixed reviews on if people want that back button always to be there, or potentially a gesture to actually just swipe to the left to go back from this icon. That way you don't even need a button itself. You could just have a gesture to go back. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this. I think for me, a gesture to the left to go back might be a decent solution as opposed to there being an actual button. On Android, when you're in an app, you still have access to your app drawer with a couple quick swipe gesture, and I'm actually a fan of having an app drawer over not having an app drawer, whereas on the iPhone, you go to your recent apps, and that's all you see is the recent apps. There's no suggested apps list or anything like that, just your recent cards. So overall, I kind of prefer the recent list on Android simply because it not only does it give you some suggested apps and a search bar, but also an option to swipe up again to get to a full, complete list of your apps. Obviously, on the iPhone, if you want a full, complete list of your apps, you can swipe up to go home, but potentially it could be on a completely separate page. With Android, there's really no gesture to get to the assistant. You just press and hold the home button, and the assistant activates, whereas press and hold the power button on the iPhone 10, and Siri activates. Now, when it comes to both of these assistants, the Google Assistant is much better than Siri. There's really no argument there. And since it's a gesture and different, I want to mention on Android, you have a swipe down gesture to get to both your quick widgets and notifications, whereas on the iPhone 10, you swipe down in the upper right-hand corner to get to a control center to control a bunch of different things, or left to middle to get to your notifications. I kind of like them separated. I think I slightly prefer how iOS does it over Android. So overall, at the moment, it doesn't seem like Android is completely doing away with buttons, considering you can tap a button to go home or tap a back button to go back. So it's not completely gestures only, whereas with the iPhone 10, it really is gestures only unless you have to actually tap on that back button in the upper left-hand corner. But let me know which one you prefer. Again, things might change on Android. We will see in the upcoming software updates that is coming, and also iOS 12 coming soon. So videos on both Android P and iOS 12 very soon. Be sure to subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.